first thing we're going to cut is the background fabric, the fat quarter. Now I've pressed mine. There are still a few little bitty creases in it, but I'm not going to worry about those. And it doesn't matter if it's wrong side or right side. We're cutting squares and triangles and they're all the same shape. This is the selvage side, and this is 18 inches from top to bottom, and it's 22 inches this way. So we're going to fold the selvage over to the cut side and put a little crease in it, and we're going to turn it around. So now we have 18 inches going across, and this is the selvage and the cut side. And I use my lines on my cutting mat to when I cut fabric. So I'm matching the horizontal line here on the fold, and I'm over a little bit on the line over here, so I'm going to use that line to cut. And take my ruler, place it on the line, and I'm just trimming the edge to make it straight. So I've trimmed off the edge, and the first cut I'm going to make is 6 1/8 inches, and I'm going to use the markings on the mat because I don't have 1/8 of an inch markings on my other ruler, so I'm using this 4-inch ruler, and I'm going to place it at 6 1/8 inches. Okay, so there we go, and cut it. Cut one at 6 1/8. Then I'm going to cut the second one at 9 1/4. Just going to check the sides again. So 9 1/4. And then this is scrap. From the 6 1/8, we're going to cut 3 squares. So open it up, and I'm going to place it on a horizontal line again and trim off this left edge. And find my 6 1/8. Match up the eighths and cut. And I'm going to move this down so I can use the markings on my mat. So I'll move it back to the 0 line and look for 6 1/8 and cut. That's 2. We need one more from this piece. And scrap. Now this one, we still need one more square from the 6 1/8, but we're going to cut our larger square first. We need one square at 9 1/4. So let's line this up again. Trim off the edge. Look for 9 1/4. And we're going to save this. We're going to take the 9 1/4 and we're going to cut it in half diagonally twice. And again, I'm using my lines on the cutting mat. This time I'm using the 45-degree line that goes this way, and I'm going to line up my ruler. Just checking. You also have a 45-degree line on the ruler you can line up, but I prefer to use the lines on the mat. And we're going to cut this way, and we'll have to move this over. Place it on the 45-degree angle, goes this way. And cut it. You have these 2 pieces, and finally we'll do the last one. Now we have our 4 pieces, and this is how we cut them. And you'll see that these long sides are along the lengthwise or the crosswise grain, which gives it more stability. And these will go along the outside of our quilt block. And here is the bias right here. You see how it stretches. This will be our point. Our stars will go up this way. So just stack these up, and we'll use those later when it's piecing time. And we still need to get one more of the 6 1/4 inch. We have 3, we need one more. So we're going to cut this down to 6 1/8, I'm sorry. 6 1/8. And then another 6 1/8 to make the square. Now you have 4 squares that are 6 1/8 inch square, and you have 4 triangles cut from your 9 1/4 inch square. Next we take our 4 strips of fabric, and I pressed all 4 strips to get the creases out, and I've placed the 2 medium fabrics down with the right sides up, and then take the other 2 fabrics, your star point and your center star, and place them right sides together. And you're going to stitch from one end all the way to the other on both of these. And then you're going to press these toward the dark fabric. Now you have your 2 strips of fabric that have been sewn together and the seams pressed toward the dark fabric. I know a lot of people are pressing their seams open, and it should be fine if you'd rather press your seams open. I don't know of any problems you might have, but I'm not sure. This is the way I prefer to do it. Now we're going to cut the 2 sets of strips we pieced together. This is one, and both of them are cut exactly the same way. We're going to start with this ruler that has a 45-degree angle. Most all the rulers do have a 45-degree angle on it. I'm going to place the 45-degree mark along the seam line and make sure it lines up all the way. Then I'm going to look at this end over here, and I want to get as close to the selvage as I can. So that's about right there. So when I cut this, the selvage won't be included in the cut. So we've lined up on the 45 and we're close to the selvage. And we're going to cut this end off. Now we're going to look at the 2 1/2 inch mark on the ruler. And that's right there. I'm lining it up with the cut edge I just cut. And just as a check, we're going to line up the 45-degree mark on the bottom edge. So you line up the 45 and then the 2 1/2 inch. And check, and I see I'm on the 3 inch, so let's move it back over. So there is the 45-degree and the 2 1/2 inch, and then we're going to cut. So there's one, and we want 8 of these. 2 1/2 inch on the edge, 45-degree at the bottom, and just continue until you have 8 of these cut. Now we have 8 of these cut, and I've already cut the other 8, and we're going to lay these out how they would be. Let's just take one of each right now and lay them out how they would be in the quilt.